25, 40, run, William, run! He's got blockers in front, 5, touchdown! Joshua Cribbs! Snap back, ball down, kick block! They block the kick!
This is the Oranges, Orange or Browns podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network. I'm your host, Chase Smith, and with me, as always, Browns insider Jeremy Powell. Jeremy, what's up, man?
Chase, what is up? I'm excited for this new season of the Oranges, Orange or Brown podcast with our new host.
That's right, a new, joining us all season long, Oranges, Orange co-host. She is your favorite Emmy-nominated digital content producer for Channel 5. Ladies and gentlemen, Camryn Justice. Camryn, what's up, girl?
Hey, guys. I'm so excited to be here. It's going to be fun. I'm excited for this season.
It's going to be great. Hey, I wanted to get us together tonight and talk about a couple things. Most importantly, David Njoku. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to talk about him later. I have thoughts, of course. I do want to talk about the Baker Think pieces that dropped near the end of the weekend. Bill Barnwell on July 2nd released an article. I'm going to read the title. It's a lengthy title. He's on this whole 2018 draft class check-in. This was the title of his article. What went wrong for Baker Mayfield, and can he be fixed? A progress report on the Browns quarterback. Camryn, I'll start with you since your first official show as co-host. If you wrote this article, what would be the key points that you would include? And then we'll talk about Bill's article.
So I think the key points would –
If you were writing it, yeah.
If I was writing it, the key points would be what went wrong last season. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot that went wrong last season. So that would probably take up most of the article. And then going from there, I think the article would have to be about all of the good things that Kevin Stefanski's offense brings to Baker Mayfield, mm-hmm. and all of the talent that has been surrounded, that they've surrounded him with, that will complement what it seems to be, because we don't know. We won't know until they take the field. But what it seems to be Kevin Stefanski's plan for his offense will be this season. It appears that the Browns have made every move possible to make that happen. So that's what it would be. It would be breaking down the miscommunication, the bad play calling last season, the changing of practice to on-field mm-hmm. schemes, because that didn't follow through. And then how Kevin Stefanski's offense fits in with Baker Mayfield, the talent they have at tight end. We'll get to David Njoku later, obviously, but just all the pieces, they've filled in holes on the offensive line, and it just seems like they've got it together. So for Baker Mayfield, this is the season to prove yourself. So that would be the article. It's just, here's why he cannot fail this season.
Yeah. So Jeremy, what's in your article as to why Baker sucked last year?
Well, we talked about this so much. It was like a series of unfortunate events. You start from training camp. He never had everybody on the field at the same time. He never had any offseason work with Odell Beckham Jr. They didn't play any of the starters in the preseason. He got off to a horrible start that way.
Yeah. Well, wait, Jay. Wait, Jay. I don't interrupt here. So let's go back to training camp. This is what I remember hearing at training camp. Oh my gosh, this is the best training camp I've ever seen. Oh my gosh, the team is so in sync. Oh my gosh, can you imagine the rhythm? And oh my gosh, it was the best training camp.
Right. But if you go into the preseason, though, remember the only time he played extended minutes was against who? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He looked awful that game. He never had any on the field time with Landry and all his key weapons coming together. Okay. We had Freddie Kitchen coming in as a first-time head coach who had never been an offensive coordinator, did not have his own system, was trying to implement his own system on the fly. There was just a whole bunch of horrific crap that happened. It was I'm not going to put all this on Baker. And I think Baker thought with all this talent, they could kind of roll the ball out on the field and win games. Sort of like when LeBron came back the first time and you had Kevin Love and all these guys, and they go out the first game of the season. What happens? They get smoked by 20 by the Knicks. They thought they could just roll the ball out on the court and win games. I think Baker was kind of in that same thing. I think Baker knows now that you have to put in the work. All indications are, yes, it's been a strange offseason, virtual offseason, all this stuff going on, but all indications are that Odell Beckham Jr., Jarvis Landry, Baker Mayfield, and Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are all completely bought in. I think everybody's bought in. And as Cammy so eloquently put it, Kevin Stefanski's system will play to Baker Mayfield's strengths. How many times last year did we say Freddie almost never moved the pocket. They never rolled out. They never ran play action. They never did any of the stuff that fits Baker's strengths. This is exactly what Kevin Stefanski was brought in for, because that offense that made Kirk Cousins look like an all-pro last year fits Baker's strengths.
Hey, you want to know what sounded like an eternity ago? The Cheesecake Factory incident, right?
Oh my God!
The start of all of this.
I actually forgot about the Cheesecake
Factory. I try every day to forget about the Cheesecake Factory.
Right? That's
and,
so good.
And guys, Bill Barnwell was kind of echoing the same thing. This is a line from his article. There wasn't one single reason why the Browns offense fell off in 2019. It was a combination of the offensive line, of the missed throws, of miscommunications, of receivers dropping balls, of wrong routes, of the play calling. And so it was this like perfect storm. And Camryn, you're exactly right. Bill went on to write about Stefanski's system coming in, how it's going to be tailor-made to not only Baker, but our team, and how our team is kind of shaped like the Vikings, but better. We have two incredible receivers like they do. We have not only Chubb, but we have a Kareem Hunt, which the Vikings didn't have. And we have these incredible tight ends that just really fit so well with Stefanski's system. But this isn't anything new. Like, if you watched any of the Browns games, Camryn, you saw how all of this was just so evident. Why was this not course corrected during the season?
Bad leadership. I mean, that's what it comes down to. It was, they just kept trying to give, Freddie Kitchens a chance, but there was no real accountability anywhere. Dorsey, I don't know what happened there, if he checked out. There was just nothing. There was no one to step in and say, this has to change. Mm-hmm. It was just excuse after excuse each week, but no changes. Nothing ever changed. And all of the coaches under Freddie Kitchens, it was very evident that they knew that there was a problem and they wanted to change, but they were under Freddie Kitchens. They couldn't, that was not a thing that they could do. Yeah. So it comes down to Freddie Kitchens not holding himself accountable and not making any changes, staying, stubborn, and
he was staying something. I don't know.
But it's strange. And then it goes up the ladder, and there was nothing. There was no one to set anything in motion. And I don't really blame them for not firing him sooner, I guess, because there's a point where you get to your bye week, and if you haven't fired him by then, and you're already in a hole, what are you going to do? You're going to fire him, and then who's going to take over? So play it out. Maybe he gets better, see this progress. I see why they didn't fire him right away. But, the fact that they didn't make any kind of changes, that's what it starts with. There was no accountability or leadership in that department at all.
Yeah.
Chase, and let me say this, that's part of Freddie Kitchen never having his own system. He didn't have anything to fall back on, right? And we heard from the very beginning that him and Todd Monken were butting heads already in OTAs last year with what to do with the system. Todd Monken had been an offensive coordinator all over the place. He had his own system. Freddie Kitchen, how many times did people ask him what his system was going to be? Was it going to be air raid? Freddie's answer was always, it's going to be the Cleveland Browns offense. Well, when you don't have any offense and any experience as an offensive coordinator to fall back on, when you hit a bad spot, you don't have any history to look back and see what to do, right? And as Cammy said, we said a million times, it seemed that Freddie was stubborn, and this was his shot, and he was going to go down his way. Well, it didn't work. Yeah. So now here we are with Kevin Stefanski, a guy who's the exact opposite in almost every way of Freddie Kitchen, right? He's an intellectual guy. He's a soft-spoken, intelligent guy, as in Freddie is a good old boy from Alabama whose dad worked at a Goodyear tire factory.
Physically,
right?
too.
They're physically in every single way imaginable. Kevin Stefanski is the antithesis of Freddie Kitchens.
Yeah. And I want to go back to a point you made, Camryn. I think, John Dorsey was in a rough spot. He was lauded as a guy who doesn't talk much during the season. He picks his players and coaches and lets them play and lets them do their thing. We don't know, and maybe you can do, Camryn, I don't know what conversations were had behind closed doors. We have no clue, if he was brought in after he wore the Pittsburgh shirt. There's just so many things we just have no clue, and we can go down the list of what happened during the season, which is just as insane as what's happened in the off season. And so I want to believe that there were conversations had. I don't know. But whatever conversations were had, nothing was translated onto the field. And it was just a circus of messes. And for a season that somehow salvaged 6 wins out of all of that. It was pretty remarkable, honestly.
Yeah.
I one of the things I didn't like about the article, and I'm a Baker apologist. I'm a fan of Baker. I think the article put too much blame on Baker. Jeremy, am I wrong to think that they put too much blame on Baker?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a whole lot. There's so many, like we talked about, so many events that led to that fact. I mean, before the season, what did we say so many times? The one thing that could derail this Browns team is if Freddie Kitchen couldn't handle these egos, right? Because you had so many egos, so many guys to get the ball. And for a first-time head coach, that's a big ask, right? That is a big ask. So I think there is way too much blame being put on Baker. And you, as everybody knows, you have been a Baker fan from the beginning. I've always been slightly skeptical of Baker. But I agree with you 100% that I just think too much of this is being put on Baker. Like Cammy said, there were so many different things that led up to this. And I think this year, as we've talked about so many times, I mean, it's all out there for Baker. You can't use your offensive line as an excuse. You can't use your weapons as an excuse. You got a super intelligent offensive coordinator who's been proven in the past. So you got all the stuff there in front of you. So it's make or break time for Baker. It really is. I mean, this better be the year that Baker takes a huge step with all this around him if he is going to be the future of the Cleveland Browns.
If I wrote this article, Bill Barnwell, here's what I would have framed it around: Goodwill Hunting. Baker, it's not your fault, Baker. It's not your fault, Baker. Just would have gone in detail about all of like the crazy storm around him. And the fact that he was able to not be, one, the worst quarterback in the league, or two, benched is pretty remarkable considering he's in Cleveland and some of the things that he had. We saw the dropped picks. We saw the wrong routes. He wasn't as bad as he was. Camryn, where do you stand on Baker Mayfield? Welcome to the Orange is Orange, by the way.
You know what? I have to probably describe myself too as a Baker apologist because here's my thing is, I mean,
so we're 2-on-1 now. We're 2-on-1 here.
Let's go.
The thing is, how many quarterbacks have the Browns gone through, right? And so Baker came in as this shining light. This is different. This is going to be different. And it did feel different. It felt different than every other quarterback that the Browns have drafted. But the difference is Baker backed it up to an extent. The problem is that he had so much pressure on his shoulders from the jump. Like, you have to understand, he's still young and he still has a lot to learn and a long way to grow. So I don't know. I just think that it's not fair to expect him to just be perfect, and especially be perfect in a system that is not designed for him with poor leadership at that time. So now you've got, this is why. And maybe after this season, I won't be so much of an apologist because
I want to get to that in Jeremy's point in a second, but continue. Sorry.
No, yeah, this is the season. This will prove everything for me. So before, I mean, he's a young quarterback, not a lot of experience other than the season before, which put so much pressure on him because he played phenomenally. Yep. Best rookie performance. It was crazy. And so that kind of pressure going into a second season with the coaching staff that he did, talent that he had around him that just didn't feel like it was utilized to fit him. It wasn't a fair shake. He didn't get a fair shake at it. So this year it's his time to shine. And if he doesn't, then I'm taking that title of Baker apologist off of my name.
You know, Jeremy, he backed it up so much by breaking the rookie touchdown passing record in 13 and a half games, whatever that stat is. And this is what I just keep coming back to. He was good 3 years in college, phenomenal, Heisman winner, the best rookie quarterback, really, you could argue, that anyone's ever seen, and have one bad year and to have this kind of visceral reaction. Dude, that's a little overreaction, right?
Sure, and look at all he had to deal with in that time with the change in the coaches, changes, the offense coordinators. It's not your fault. No, but and we talked about this a lot too. I think there's definitely, and I think this falls on Baker and on Freddie, was the attention to detail that was lacking. And I think, like we've talked about, I think we'll see that this year. I think Kevin Stefanski will demand that attention to detail. And when you also have a quarterback that's backing you up now, that's making $6 million a year, that has succeeded in the NFL, you know, that could also help Baker's attention maybe, lock in a little more, knowing that there's someone capable on the bench who has done it, and a guy who'll never say it but wants to play, right? He wants to start. So maybe that'll help Baker focus in, lock in, that attention to detail be there, and him and Stefanski. What do they say? The most important relationship in sports is the head coach and the quarterback, right? Yes. So let's hope that him and Stefanski are completely on the same page and that attention to detail is there.
Well, Jay, I have to ask you, man, since you brought it up, will Baker Mayfield be the starting quarterback for the Browns come week 17? Is it 18? Is this 18?
No. This year is still the same amount of games, but the expanded playoff format. Next year we add another game. But yeah, so this year still 16 games with the expanded playoff format.
All right.
Yeah, so what I think Baker will be. I think Baker is. I think, look, me, the skeptic, is going to say right now that I think that with the players around him, with the offensive line around him, with the systematic fit, with the attention to detail Kevin Stefanski is going to bring, this is going to be the year where Baker Mayfield breaks out in a big way. At the end of the year, it's all moot point, the discussion of Baker being the franchise quarterback. Baker is the franchise quarterback, and this year is going to be his year. That's my prediction.
Cammy?
Yeah, I don't think there's a question. The only way is, knock on wood, something terrible happens.
Yeah.
Aside from that, Baker Mayfield starting quarterback. There's no question. You can't, even if the season starts off a little rocky. I mean, you gotta see where it goes. This is the year. This is the season for him to show what he's got, to prove himself, to redeem himself from last season, which, again, like I said, I don't think was necessarily any of his fault. Not it was some of his fault, but not majority
it's not your
of
fault,
the fault does not fall on Baker. So this is the season. So yeah, of course, unless they are insane, then of course he has to be the starting quarterback through the season.
If he's not, then Stefanski's trying to save his job, which is not a good thing that we want to go down again. Yeah. Like, it's just Baker's going to do it. So I need some help. I have a hat bet with one of my friends who's a Bills fan. He thinks Josh Allen will have more wins as a starting quarterback this season. And I laughed and quickly said bet and ended up being a hat with Baker Mayfield as a more wins as a starting quarterback. Camryn, safe bet?
I think so. When you said that, you said his
your
name.
Face.
Yeah. Wait a minute. He said what?
Yeah.
So,
no,
yeah.
Jay loves Josh Allen, so I'm really.
I do. I love Josh Allen.
You do,
I like.
man.
Listen, I like the fact that Josh Allen has everything you can't teach. Right? He's got the giant arm. He's got the giant size. He's got incredible mobility for a guy his size. Mm-hmm. I like Josh Allen. I also like the Bills' defense. The Bills' defense is nasty. I like their head coach. I like that whole thing. But I still think Baker ultimately is the better quarterback of the two. But on a bet who wins more games, that's tough because that AFC East might be, for the first time in years, up for grabs, right?
Well, and this
Tom Brady
bet was
on.
made before Cam Newton went to Foxborough.
Right. And you know, and I love Cam Newton as well. You know that too. But as Cam Newton come in there and step into that situation and keep it going? Maybe. I mean, maybe he does. So maybe there's maybe they do hold the that grip on that conference there, that division. But I like Josh Allen. Everybody knows I like Josh Allen. It's been well documented. I liked him from the second I watched him play in college. So I'm a Josh Allen guy. Hey, I liked him. I think the guy has a ton of raw talent. I don't think you can't even deny, the raw talent is there. Will he ever be a great NFL quarterback? I don't know. Nobody knows yet, but he's got the raw talent. But I would still, at this moment right now, I'd still take Baker Mayfield over Josh Allen.
I cannot wait to see Cam in Foxborough. I know we're not a Patriots podcast.
Me too. No, I am.
I love that signing.
I do too. Yeah,
to be honest,
I love Cam. Oh my gosh, I've been a Cam Newton fan for years. I love Cam Newton. I can't wait to see that dynamic between him and Bill. Mm-hmm. It's just such a man. It's just a fantastic storyline. I think for the league. Yeah. I mean, it's just a great story, great storyline. It's going to be something fun to watch. I'm excited about it.
I love Cam, and honestly, guys, this is what I was really nervous about. I'd had this fear that he was going to sign in Pittsburgh and be their starting quarterback, or just resign as a backup and go to Baltimore. And I just had this vision of, oh my gosh, Cam is going to destroy us at some point in my Browns fandom. And I did not want that to happen. So I'm thankful that he's not in the AFC North, that he's going to go to Foxborough and probably beat us in the playoffs. But you didn't hear that from me. Any other thoughts on Baker, Camryn?
I'm just really excited. I'm really excited to see what a coach that has a definitive scheme can do for him, and a coach that's proven himself to develop quarterbacks, and I just think that Baker Mayfield is off to a good start before he's even started with what's surrounding him, and now with everything built around him, I'm just excited to see if that grit is still there, that determination's still there, that Oklahoma boy that we saw before in college. I want that grit.
That drive from Cincinnati that he had in Cincy. So remember that drive where he was like running people over and then threw that dime to OBJ, like that one awesome drive. Like that's the OBJ, that's the Baker that we want.
This is it. This is the time to see it. You've got everything in your advantage right now. Let's see that Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, let's go. Jay, thoughts on Baker?
No, exactly that. I mean, exactly what we've been saying. The cards are on the table. It's laid out. You have the offensive line. There's no more excuses. You got everything that Baker needs to succeed is right there in front of him. You got a healthy, motivated Odell Beckham Jr. who is ready to shut people up. Jarvis Landry, I don't know if you saw his quote the other day. He said he don't want to talk to some of these people that have been talking. So I'm just excited for the whole thing. Everything is there. We finally have a reliable tight end. I mean, it's just everything is there. This is up to Baker, and it's put up or shut up, and I think Baker is going to put up. Most
Improved Player award?
It's out there.
I mean, I don't see why not. Another topic I want to jump to. This has been an awesome episode. I love all these topics. Oh my gosh. I woke up on I was sick on Wednesday. I don't want to get into it, but one of the things that helped me through was David Njoku requested a trade. And oh boy, did I love hearing that, Camryn. I am not a Njoku fan. I just leave it at that. Jeremy, tell us about Njoku and what is going on. You were sharing pre-show some pretty interesting connections here.
Well, yeah, it's the Drew Rosenhaus thing. The Browns have always had problems with Drew Rosenhaus as an organization. He was Duke Johnson's agent last year as well. Duke Johnson's agent got him out of here. Now he's trying to get David Njoku out of here. I think this is a massive, massive mistake by David Njoku. I don't think he has any claim, any legs to stand on in a trade here. Look, he's massively underachieved. He was hurt, came back, got in Freddie Kitchens' doghouse, didn't play at all the end of the year, has been inconsistent, has not been reliable, but he's got a world of talent, right? So this system of which Kevin Stefanski used two tight ends 57% of the time last year. He will get options. Now, I know where David Njoku's coming from. He's thinking, look, I got Odell, I got all these, I'll be the fifth option. However, that also is going to lend himself to favorable matchups down the field. Kevin Stefanski used his second tight end last year as a guy to spread the field. So you have Austin Hooper, who's a sure-handed guy who can catch passes underneath, who runs great routes, that kind of tight end. David Njoku could have been the guy with single coverage from safeties, strong safeties and linebackers, matchup problems, could go out, maybe not put up great numbers, but, have a high yards per catch, maybe 7 or 8 touchdowns. I think the system would have fit him perfectly. He would have had a chance to rehabilitate his career and then go from there, right? I think it's a horrible time to ask for a trade. Doesn't make any sense. He's probably worth more on the Browns roster to the Browns as he is in trade value. None of it makes any sense. But with Drew Rosenhaus as his agent, he's probably gone. I just think it's a dumb move by him. And I hope the Browns stand firm. I don't see it happening, but I don't understand it at all.
Camryn, you're nodding.
Again, when I saw it, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
But then I don't know. This feels to me like a bad case of an agent.
Mm-hmm.
Less Njoku and more as agent. Because I mean, Njoku, he expressed before that this was a concern that people had when the Browns signed Hooper. Oh my gosh, is David Njoku going to want to trade? And somebody tweeted him, and he quote tweeted it and said, "Nah, let's bring on the competition. Like, we'll just make each other better." About Austin Hooper. That tweet is now deleted, which is strange, but
yeah, shocker.
but he, I don't know, it just doesn't make any sense because he felt okay with it when the signing happened.
Sure.
And it's not like there's been practices where, he's just not getting the attention. Like nothing has happened in that time.
Right.
So for me, it feels like his agent maybe fed him some information that maybe he could go somewhere else because it doesn't make any sense. Like Jeremy said, his trade value is almost nothing after last season. And
Chase, let me jump in with this. It can't even be a money thing, right? I know that Hooper got the big contract, but David Njoku's on a 4th year of his rookie deal. If the Browns were to pick up his option, I think it's $6.1 million next year. He's going to get paid over the next 2 years if he's on the Browns. He's going to have a role if he's on the Browns. No one is going to break the bank for him right now. Like we said, it's bad timing. Like Camryn said, the only thing that makes any sense is Drew Rosenhaus, who everybody knows is a power agent and knows everybody around the league, already has a destination set out for him and a team that wants him. There was rumors that the Cowboys were interested in him. So we'll see if anything materializes there. But it's just to me, it's a head scratcher. Doesn't make sense. Bad timing. All of those things apply. And it's a system that loves tight ends. A system, now, and as you know, we talked about this too as well, Chase. I love Harrison Bryant. I love the 4th-round tight end out of Florida International. I think he's a great player. I think he fits the system as well. But he's still a year away, probably, from being a big-time contributor, right? So just doesn't make sense to me. I think it's a poor move on his part. But hey, Drew Rosenhaus's a power agent for a reason. He probably has a plan.
Well, that's the thing, is if he wants him to go, if he has the destination set, he clearly has not expressed that to the Browns. And then if you're the Browns, for them to have this whole setup, this whole season has been set up around Kevin Stefanski's offense, which utilizes multiple tight ends. So to have David Njoku complimenting Austin Hooper, I feel like that was like a big part of the plan. And obviously they've expressed they don't want him to go. They don't want to lose him. They want to keep him. They said that to him, and he still was requesting to be traded by the time training camp started. This feels like Rosenhaus. It feels like he thinks that he had a deal set up, but is that deal, did he express that with the Browns? Because if they had, I feel like that would have been done. This wouldn't have even been a thing. They would have just announced a trade. They would have done it. They wouldn't have tried to keep him. So whatever deal that they have set up, I just don't feel like it's probably enough value for the Browns to want to make that happen, which is, again, a bad move on the agent.
So I want to preface what I'm about to say by saying I'm not a sports agent. I've never taken any sports agent classes. I have no clue. I'm just going off of my brain. And here, I'm going to make a counterpoint to both of what you're saying. I think this is a genius move by Rosenhaus. Here's why. He got into Njoku's ear saying, hey, man, every time you're not in the field, your value is depreciating. That's less money for you and your family moving forward. They brought in another tight end. That's less money for you. You're going to be sharing catches. That's less money for you. You're going to be sharing targets. That's less money for you. When Njoku, let me tell you, man, you're the top 5 talent in the league. You're with a franchise that undervalues players. Like, that's all he has to say, right? Yeah. For anyone to say, well, he has a point.
Here's where I'd counter your counter argument. Yep. Is that the Browns? I just read that the Browns are planning on picking up his 5th-year option. That's $6 million. Maybe he gets traded and has an even worse season. The team that he gets traded to, Cowboys, whoever, don't pick up that $6 million option. That's $6 million at the end of your rookie deal. That's a big number in the NFL. So if he goes somewhere else and gambles and doesn't have a great year, and then he loses money, right? I mean, $6 million is $6 million. That's still a ton of money. So I don't know, man. I don't see and like you said, and I'll obviously agree. Drew Rosenhaus knows more about this than we will ever know about this, this whole situation and how to handle this type of situation. He's been in it numerous times. To me, it just doesn't seem like a good move. Yeah,
it's weird. The Browns, they did exercise his 5th-year option.
Okay, so it has been exercised.
Yeah, they did it at the same time as they exercised Myles Garrett's 5th-year option.
So it's already picked up.
It's already.
And I believe, isn't it for $6.1 million, right? Isn't that accurate? $6 million?
I'm not sure on the number, but
I think it's $6 million. I'll check. I think it's $6 million.
It's just, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense unless, and when you were talking, I kind of had this this idea of the only way this makes sense to me is if his agent, because Rosenhaus, he's got tons of clients, if this move is to benefit another client. If the trade is involved with another client, maybe on a different team that wants to be here, that's the only thing. It's the only thing that makes any sense, and it still doesn't make that much sense to me. Yeah. I just been trying to wrap my brain around this.
We're doing a lot of mental gymnastics here, which
exactly.
Is the point of podcasts, Chase, like mental gymnastics. Counters to counters and counters. That's what podcasts are for.
Let me jump in here too. That 5th-year option is exactly $6 million.
Okay.
So they already picked up his $6 million option. So
yeah. Look, bottom line, Drew Rosenhaus listens to the pod. He hears all that we're saying about Njoku. He's like, yo, the Browns, you aren't welcome there, man. You got to go. So Drew, come on the show. Tell us really what's going down, man. We'd love to have you. No, I don't know. I think Njoku's overrated. And here at the end of the day, every single one of Njoku's targets, which by the way, he can't block, every one of his targets, I'd rather go to OBJ. I'd rather go to Jarvis. I'd rather go to Chubb. I'd rather go to Hunt, receiving or rushing, both of them. I'd rather go to Higgins. I'd rather go to Hooper. That's 6 people that 1,000 times over, I'd rather get the ball or be targeted than Njoku. If you have a player who is that inconsequential and is not going to contribute, and you can get a 4th, 5th round pick, see ya. It doesn't take advanced analytics for you to say, yeah, let's do it. I'm not sure if he can I don't even know if he'd be special teams. No. So that's just all I'm saying. Like, I think great guy. You know, he was fun to root for on Hard Knocks. But at the end of the day, you're looking for assets, and if you're the GM and you're, you know, I don't know.
That's this is probably where we disagree, Chase, because I do believe that that his physical size, his speed, his ceiling is higher than a 4th or 5th round pick that we would get back. I think his value to the team is higher than that if he fits a role. Now, if he's not going to fit a role and he's going to be a problem, okay, you're probably right. A 4th or 5th round pick might be.
I don't even think he sniffed anywhere close to his ceiling.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But if we get him those matchups like I was talking about, if he can get downfield and, you know, make those big plays, that's probably the role they would have had for him is, you know, as a because he's a big target, right? Even if he's a decoy down the field, it's someone you got to keep an eye on. So I don't know. I think that, I mean, he'll probably be moved now because it's Drew Rosenhaus, but I just feel like he means more to the team right now than a 4th or 5th rounder. But it is what it is.
Camryn, you were nodding as I was on my soapbox. Did that resonate?
It just, I'm so frustrated by it because 1, it doesn't make sense.
Me too.
And 2, I just would expect this to happen next season, maybe after he had a full season back healthy, proven himself, increased his trade value, shown himself that he's worth something. The timing is just, it doesn't make any sense to me. So why do it? Why request a trade now?
Because we signed Hooper.
But he was okay with it. It's just so.
And we know, right?
Of course he was okay with it. Of course he was.
And it's not even about, you know what?
Name like one team other than the Patriots with Gronk and Hernandez that had 2 awesome tight ends.
It's happened before. I'd have to look, but there has been teams that have had 2 good tight ends.
Name one. I mean,
the Vikings last year. The second one's name has escaped me, but Rudolph and the guy that I can't remember his name now. It's escaped me. I'll have to look it up. But it's possible, Chase. And you know what? It's not even about competition. Like his tweet said, there would have been a role for him. There would have been a role for him in this offense, a fairly, at least somewhat sizable role. I don't know. I agree with Cam. I agree with Cammy. It does at the time. It makes no sense. It's going to be tough to convince me that it does, but It is what it is.
I'm not trying to convince. I'm just telling you how it is. No, man. No, we'll see. And hey, if he's on the team this year, then of course I'm going to root. But it did not surprise me a bit. Look, we had Gary Barnes on the show, and we were talking to him about whenever the Browns drafted they drafted Njoku.
With Barnage there. Barnage thought he was going to be his mentor. And the Browns just kind of pulled the rug out from underneath him.
I just don't think, as much as Stefanski has 2 tight end systems, like it's worth investing that much at that position. We're talking like analytics, like unless you're playing fantasy football, which you can have point differential in tight ends, it matters, but not in the real NFL.
Well, look, they did it though. Cammy's right. Look, they picked up his eye. So, I mean, they were planning on him being here.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, they still are planning. They don't want him to go. But at this point, like for the chemistry in the locker room, unless he like has a 180, he's also got to go. Once a player expresses they want traded.
Yeah.
I mean, what you gonna keep him? It doesn't really tend to work out very well.
Right. So, you can't have him poison the locker room. Like,
as soon as they announce that, that's a wrap. No matter what they get for him, they feel like you express that and your agent expresses that you want to trade, you're probably gone because the Browns logically can't keep him unless he says, my agent really wanted me to do this and I really want to stay, and has a full 180. I just don't see that happening. So I think Njoku is probably on his way out the door as we speak.
Well,
and like we said, knowing his relationship with the Browns in the past, he's probably gone.
Well, as happy as that might make me, it does make me sad that this episode has come through. This has been a ton of fun, man. It's great to get back at it, talk Browns. Great to have Camryn with us, Jay. It's great to hear your voice, man. Jeremy, any final thoughts? great to hear a voice. Man, Camryn, any final thoughts?
I'm just really excited. I'm excited for the season. I hope that it goes forward. I don't think that it might go forward. It might not go forward in the way that we are used to. But I just hope that it happens in some capacity. And I'm excited to see what the Browns do, and excited to see this league. And I'm excited to be on this podcast this season, talking about everything that happens. This is going to be a fun time. I'm telling you.
It's going to be great. Jay, any final thoughts, brother?
Like I said, I'm excited about everything. Let's go. Let's get this season going. We're going to have a season, Chase. No negative talk. I might have to miss my first game in 4 years, but there's going to be a season, whether we're in attendance or not.
Good. Hey, Camryn, what do you got coming up these next couple weeks work-wise?
A lot. Things are way different, obviously, so we know how it's going to go with locker room settings and all that good stuff. It's going to be definitely just at home working.
Yeah, we didn't talk about the training camp restrictions we didn't even talk about all that, which that happened last week too. So
yeah, it's crazy. There's a lot of changes. I'm not going to be where I was last season in relation to, training camp and interviews, but I think that the Browns, their communication department is really good about getting us players and making them available. So I'm just hoping that they do that through the rest of the season. We get this content going and get some insight from the players and the coaches, and then, whatever happens in the games, I don't know how the credentials are going to work with all of this craziness, but hopefully things pan out in some form. But either way, I'm not going to stop covering the team. So work is just like maybe a little bit extra work to get the content that I want to get.
Yeah. And it's temporary. And by next season, this will be a thing of the past, and everything will be back to the way it was.
That's the mindset we all need to have.
Yeah.
Yep. Temporary.
Well, thank you guys for downloading and listening. Follow us on Twitter. We always follow back. Follow Camryn Justice on Twitter. Follow us at Orange is Orange Press Play Pods, and we'll catch you guys next episode. Let's go, Browns, baby!
Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Oof, oof, oof.